number one, it's not my responsibility, and number two, and really grappling with the feelings of the need to be responsible and want to be responsible and want to take care and want to nurture and want to have all the bases covered. Right. And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, our former co-host came out and released a statement regarding her reason for her departure from the Joe Budden network. And she cited that it was because of sexual harassment from our network head, who participated in an episode with us that made her feel mortified, was her word, and wildly uncomfortable. And my immediate response this morning was, number one, do I call her? Because when she left, the manner in which she left, it was very abrupt. Yeah. There was no conversation prior to her leaving. I was not expecting it.
She left us in a text message.
And also it was on a day when we had a photo shoot. So it was like we were all here waiting for her, and she didn't come.
Didn't show up.
She just didn't show up and text us that she
would not be showing up.
She didn't feel well, and then we were all
said she didn't feel well.
She said she didn't feel well. Okay. And then we're all like, all right, cool, let's just wait it out. Let's see, should we leave? Do we go to Brooklyn? Do we make sure? She said, no, my mom is coming to get me. I'm coming to make sure I'm good. Okay. Like I'll check back with you guys.
Right.
Didn't hear anything until about 5 or 6 o'clock that day, and it was in a text that said
6:33.
We are in a text that said we are like we are no longer really going to be able to work together because it's too toxic an environment for her.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Prior to,
I will say too, she also did acknowledge. She said, I understand and I apologize because I know this is going to put you guys in a tough space.
Okay.
Right.
But I want to thank you guys and the JBP crew. But the environment in whole was not.
It's not for her.
It was taxing on her. And
fair.
We literally, we're not going to try to bring you into this.
There was no response. First of all.
There was no response.
Yes. Mandii and I did not respond immediately because, number one, shock. Number two, Joe called us and said, hey, Olivia just quit the podcast, and her attorney just called me and said that she's quitting. And I said, yeah, well, we just got a text message, so I guess we'll wrap everything up here. And he was kind of like, did you guys see any of this coming? And Mandii and I were like, no, I didn't see this coming at all. Everything has been fine.
Fine,
seemingly fine-ish. And we'll dive into that. In the episode that was the episode that Olivia felt violated. It was an uncomfortable day, and every single person in the room felt uncomfortable, and she cites that.
And everyone times. And what you guys can't see behind the scenes is that everyone is nodding like, yeah, it was pretty uncomfortable.
It was very uncomfortable for all of us, right? Mandii and I have known Joe for a much longer time.
Yes.
Right. Mandii and I have different friendships with Joe. Joe and I have also done Love and Hip Hop. So I know when performative Joe turns on.
Hits the scene.
Cameras are on, the lights, everything is amplified. The energy, whether it's toxic, whether it's meant to be funny and it's not funny, whatever the energy is, it's performative when the cameras come on. For me.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
I want to add to that only because Joe at the time was not showing up anymore on Mondays. Me and Joe again, timeline. I've been speaking with Ian and Joe for a year and a half before this show started. Knew he wanted to start a network, and I knew I wanted a different show in a different direction, and we've been collaborating since then. Joe stopped showing up, and after a conversation with Ian that Sunday, I said, there's some, needs that aren't being met for everyone as it pertains to the network and your presence. I let him know that based off of a conversation. Joe said, no, I'm showing up.
I'm going to come in and sit on the episode so we can hash this out.
Not only that, I want to know what is needed from me. What can I do more? Yeah. Joe said, I wasn't even coming in today. I'll see you at the studio.
Right. So he came in.
Okay. Yes.
We engage in this conversation, in this exchange about the fact that we've reached out and have not gotten the response that we wanted. The conversation went further, even within the network, about people not feeling like he was accessible and approachable about certain issues that might have been had. Production issues, not personality issues.
Right.
Not that we knew of, but production issues. And it was made very clear that Olivia and Joe never spoke. He said it several times. Everybody has
found out
complaints.
that they had only spoke twice.
They had never had any interaction.
I didn't know that they weren't engaging
at all.
I didn't know that.
When,
right here.
So when this exchange is happening, Mandii and I are laughing about our own exchange because I don't give a fuck with Joe. You know what I'm saying? That's my relationship with Joe. That's Mandi's relationship with Joe.
Right.
We take what's being thrown when these cameras and mics are on with a grain of salt. We do. And it's not to excuse. It's not to excuse.
Oh yeah, no, never.
Anyone feeling uncomfortable if they're not familiar and you don't have that rapport with him.
Right.
It's understandable. We carry on through the episode. By the end of the episode filming, we are all left a little bit like
we took a break.
We take a break.
We took a break before restarting the episode. So once Joe left, there was a pause and a consensus with everyone in production.
And we went back and we were like, you know what? This is a little odd. Throughout the entire break, every single person, and Olivia states it very plainly in her video, that every single person goes to her and asks her if she's okay. Are you comfortable? Are you cool? Because that was a bit much. Joe asked, are you okay? Because that was a bit much. I actually recall Joe saying, I'm sorry if that was a lot. I'm sorry if I was doing too much during y'all's episode. To us, all of us, saying, I'm sorry if I was giving y'all a little bit too much. That might have been a lot. Not even, you know, a lack of acknowledgement of his behavior went on. There was still kind of like, everyone was still kind of like, the energy's a little weird, but when we get back from break, we'll fix it. We'll fix it amongst ourselves.
Right.
Every single person, from Parks to Savon to Mandii to Alex, every single person said, Liv, are you all right? Because you seem a little uncomfortable. Are you okay? Should we take this stuff out?
We filmed, but Parks pulled her aside and said, whatever you want taken out doesn't have to go out. Whatever you felt uncomfortable with, Parks said, I'll let you listen back to the entire exchange. Whatever you were not comfortable with, I'll sit here and snip it out right now. It doesn't go out.
But tell us just tell us.
Right.
No one at any point in time in that frame was encouraging her to be quiet, was trying to continue to laugh it off, because Mandii came and said, you know what? Let's take that part out because
whatever y'all got edited out, it was, and this is where I hate that people are acting like, oh my God, Mandi's for women and you're in this space. And I looked at her as she said, no, it's all fine. You could just keep it in Parks. I looked at her and said, no, Liv, you looked uncomfortable. And me hearing that and how any other woman would listen back to that, executive decision on me. Parks, let's take that out. Let's take this out.
Everybody was in complete agreement.
Compliance.
So the narrative that
I took the edits out, but
the narrative,
I let
the narrative,
Liv know
the
we
narrative that
for
in
her.
that space, I want to personally apologize to her if she felt as if in that space she was not comfortable enough with us.
Right.
To even pull us aside and say, hey,
Yo,
this shit wasn't cool.
Right.
I'm really uncomfortable. Like, we
Right.
gotta, because in that moment, regardless of how many times we might think we're creating that space, no matter how many attempts we might make to get her to open up or own what she's saying, if she doesn't feel comfortable with us, she's not gonna say it. Regardless of the attempts. I think the part that's so disheartening to me is, upon the release of this video, I'm looking at all of my comments and all of my mentions and the attacks on my character.
And mine.
And Mandi's. When we did start this series and this podcast with the idea to protect each other. And Mandii and I have always felt safe with each other. We both made efforts to try and make Olivia feel safe with us.
Right.
And
I guess we failed.
And I'm apologizing if she felt like those efforts, it was water hitting a wall.
Yeah.
Because attempts were made, and if we fell short in that, and that contributed to her not feeling comfortable in those moments where we created space to say anything, then I do feel awful about that.
Yeah.
Because I also, and maybe that's a question then that I would pose to you in terms of trying to remedy and rectify a situation that even if it's not by my doing, it's not by my hand, and I haven't contributed to that. But because I brought Olivia in, there is still a part of me that feels responsible for that.
For sure.
So how do I, even if it's not my fault, how do I make someone comfortable in an environment when they're not even comfortable with me?
And you got to stop beating yourself up for that. But I would love for you to answer that because she does. I know. I know. Don't cry. You're going to make me cry. She's been beating herself up that she brought Liv into this space. I did not know Liv before. No one in the whole network. And she's been beating herself up for this.
As a woman, especially in this space, right? I always say, even in my music career, that I've been lucky. I've been really blessed because I hear horror stories all the time from women that deal with any level of intimidation or whatever they feel incapable of speaking up and incapable of voicing their truths. I've never been in that position.
Right.
I've never felt uncomfortable speaking up for myself. And if I did, it was because people on my team were like, maybe we shouldn't. But in terms of being in scenarios and situations with men in power, and not even pertaining to harassment, just career, just life, just being a woman of color in a space where men are waiting for you to speak out of turn and waiting for an opportunity to break you down, to put you back in your place. Mm-hmm. I've never experienced that. So I feel at even more of a disadvantage in a situation and scenario where another woman, maybe she expected me to do more or say more. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she actually was kind of like, don't worry about it, sis. I'm gonna just ride out by myself, which was the impression that I got even in my follow-up conversation when she left, because regardless of what transpired that day on that episode, we continued business as usual for 3 weeks after that. There were 3 different episodes after that where we all showed up here as if we were okay and all good.
Yeah.
And we continued to talk to each other and reach out to each other and check on each other. And there was never an indication of anyone being mortified, which makes me feel worse that she sat with this for 3 months.
Right.
And maybe didn't even know how traumatized she was for 3 months. So sat with us and was like, it's cool, ladies, I'm sorry. This is just not for me. This has nothing to do with me, blah, 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 blah. It's nothing to do with y'all. This is, it's something I'm dealing with over here. And that's that.
Right.
And there's no room in this conversation, by the way, for anybody to, I just want us to normalize not having to say you believe or you don't believe what someone says. Take that completely out of the equation because it's inconsequential. It doesn't matter. If a woman says she's uncomfortable, she's uncomfortable. It doesn't matter who agrees. It doesn't matter who believes. If she's uncomfortable, she's uncomfortable. It's an absolute statement, full stop. Period. It doesn't matter, period. It doesn't matter what the circumstances surrounding that. If a woman is uncomfortable, she's uncomfortable. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's not, that there's no
debate.
There's no debate.